All right. We are recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Living in Alignment podcast. And I'm excited to be joined today by the beautiful Lauren Litt. And Lauren is
deeply uncomfortable.
She is the owner and lead social media manager of Lil Shameless Plug. So Little Shameless Plug is dedicated to the curation and creation of quality content for the entrepreneur who's ready to take their business growth to the next level. And she, working as an actor for over a decade showed Lauren that while she has had many incredibly talented friends, not all of them knew how to promote themselves online. So in 2014, she started Little Shameless Plug with the goal of helping creative entrepreneurs build an online web presence and to coach them on how to find their audience and expand their communities. And since launching Little Shameless Plug, Lauren, sorry, my dog is like squeaking his toy in the background. It's throwing me off. Lauren has expanded her offerings to include a course that teaches business owners how to stay consistent with social media and build a community by showing up as their authentic selves, all while avoiding burnout and overwhelm. And Lauren's clients have experienced a renewed relationship with social media. With her guidance, they create a simplified plan that they can follow consistently, one that feels fun and allows them to stay genuine and engaged with their audience. So this is a juicy, juicy conversation. How are you doing, Lauren?
I'm good. I think I like myself. That's that. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I do good things.
You're like, who's that she's talking about?
She's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, it's great to have you on here. And, my audience is primarily entrepreneurs. So I think this is going to be a really good topic for them. A lot of good stuff I want to ask you, but I guess we'll start off by, you can tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you came from a background of acting. I'd love to hear more about that and how you ended up here, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. And actually I'm still acting. So it is a lifelong journey and pursuit. And I just love it. And that's actually why I started this company. Not only was I seeing friends who were totally, just undermining how amazing they could be if they just knew how to use these tools, but I couldn't wait one more table. Like I was just dying inside. Every day, I worked at a diner as my last waiting job, and I actually got fired. It was dramatic. But I remember so clearly walking home from that job because it was 2 blocks away from my little apartment in Burbank, and taking my serving shoes and throwing them in the trash. And I just knew that at that moment, I wasn't going to accept another job that took my talent and ability and creativity for granted. Yeah. And, it was a journey coming to this and how I can now help people every day in this way. But I bet a lot of entrepreneurs feel that way because so many times when we're trying to fit into a box, of like, well, this is a job you can do based on these skill sets and what you have available to you. And we're like, but I have so much more to offer the world. And so, that's also why I love doing what I do and specifically helping entrepreneurs, because I see social media as this incredible free tool that gets the way that you as an entrepreneur are helping uplift society, making change, doing that special thing that you do, getting that out into the world, because God, we just really need some good messages now. So that's what fuels me day to day and why I love helping people.
Yeah, I love this. One of the things that comes up with my audience and people that I work with a lot is how people will actually ask the question, how can I, say what I want to say about whatever business I'm doing on social media without my friends and family seeing it? And I'm always like, if you aren't proud of what you're doing and you feel like you have to hide it, like that's a problem. Like to me, social media is like the whole point is to be seen by as many people as possible.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to be
And
authentic and proud of what we're doing.
definitely. Like, and there's that weird, I think that when you're feeling that way, it's because you're actually not tapped into the joy of what you're doing. You're
Mhm.
probably really focused. I find that when people come to me, they're either selling too much in a really hard way or not selling at all because they're scared of it, right? And so
Mhm.
when people are saying like, "Oh, I don't want my friends and family to see this," you're probably leaning way too hard into the sell and you're not actually being authentic about the journey.
Yeah.
Not living in alignment with
Mhm.
how you are actually showing up in your business and your message into the world. So normally that's an internal shift that needs to happen.
Yeah. I love that. One of the things that I always say, because this is how I've built my entire business, I've been marketing online for like 18 years now. And what I've done the whole entire time is just document my journey and take people on the journey. I feel like a lot of times people feel like, well, I have to act like I know it all and that I'm a complete expert and that I know everything. And I always say, like, people actually want to follow people that are just one step ahead of them, to be
Exactly.
able to kind of follow on your coattails. And you're way more relatable than the guru up on the mountain who's like not teaching the basics anymore, because they're so far beyond that now. And so I love that you said that the journey it's meant to be enjoyable, but it's also like the most relatable thing about what we do. I feel like, especially,
Totally.
on social
And
media.
and just to like, yes, and the point you just made, also nobody knows everything. Like specifically in marketing, specifically in this world we live in, things change so quickly. Like we are recording in March of 2023. I may say some things within this podcast that tomorrow will be different,
Yeah.
And so that for me was the light bulb about 5 years into actually owning my business, because I really felt like I had that um oh no, I can't think of it, where you're like really embarrassed, like, oh, I'm just pretending like I know what I'm doing here. And I had this realization, like, nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just testing and tracking. We're all just I thought there was some weird social media book that some people had been given as like the guidelines. And I was like, why don't I know what this is? And I was like, oh, I do know. It's just based on the information that I'm using with my clients and best practices and seeing how those things apply and how we can make them work for people. So
Mhm.
nobody knows what they're doing. If someone stands up and says, I know everything, like please, big old grain of salt.
Run for the
You're
hills.
probably in a cult. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. So when you're working with people with their social media, like what are some of the first foundational things that you tell people about
Yeah.
their messaging or
That's
um
really so. The very first thing I do when I'm onboarding like a full service client is we go through an exercise that's actually I used to use when I would create a character for an audition. And
hmm,
we do this because for me, I always say, like, it's not you, it's your audience that we're focused on. Right.
right.
And so we really need to get clear on who their audience is. And this isn't like, yes, this is niching, but it's also understanding in the social marketplace, what language are we using with people? Do you swear? Do you never swear? Are you very corporate brand? Are there certain shows that people who are following you are watching? Like I had a client who Ted Lasso was like her favorite thing. And so if we were looking for meme content, we would scroll through Ted Lasso stuff to share because that was perfectly ideally suited to her audience. So there's so many pieces that we take for granted of other marketing in that's already happening that we can take and use as indicators to your clients. So like, hey, yeah, we're speaking the same language. We both get this joke. So that's the first thing we do is we create this character of you online or this character of who we're speaking to. And then I like to do this, I call it the big rocks. And I always have to preface this by saying there's a story of a professor from college, and he stood up in front of his students and he was saying, I want to teach you about the meaning of life today. And he took this big empty jar, see-through jar, and he put some giant rocks inside. And he asked the kids, is this full? And they were like, yeah, totally full. And he said, okay, cool. And he had little rocks. So he poured those in and he said, is this full? And they go, yeah, that's full now. He added some sand. Same question. Finally, he snaps open a beer and pours it in on top, and that liquid fills all the way to the top with those bubbles. And he says, now it's full. There are so many spaces in life where we have our big rocks, which on social media, I look at as, when are you launching? Do you have a sales flow in your business that you need to be talking about? Do you have a partnership with someone that we have to share on X date in order to make that happen? Those are the pieces of your marketing that we really can't move around. We have to have those solidified in your schedule. Then we move on to those little rocks, the medium rocks, and those are your marketing messages. What do people need to know, like, and trust about you in order to be ready to work for you? And we'll normally create somewhere between 4 and 8. I call them pillars of your content. So, for you, Amy, the title of the podcast, living in alignment, that is a message that should be shared every, 3 weeks or so, at least, your audience, like a different story about how to share that, because people really are going to latch onto that and say, yeah, that's what I want. I want to have my business be in alignment with what I want to live my life as. So you get those pillars content. And then I like to call it the bubbles, the fun stuff, the pieces of your life that are so unique to you that no one else can duplicate it. So for me personally, these are things like, I cook my dog's dog food. I'm that person, so that's like a weird thing about me that some other people will be like, yeah, me too, or I've been interested in that. These are things like, I'm an actor. That's something very unique to me in the social media world. So it's those pieces of you that are that little peek behind the curtain of who you actually are. Because in the online world, we're not just selling social media. We're not just selling a course. We are selling the experience of you within that space. And so it's just really important to include those special pieces of you, because the other thing, I read this way back when I was in college, so many years ago, this study of, they took people all from all over the world, and they put these little nodes on their brain and showed them pictures of human beings. And some of these human beings happen to be leaders of state, or they happen to be celebrities, recognizable faces, and others were just random people. Every time a recognizable face came up, their brain lit up. And so if you're not bringing you to your marketing, people can't connect with you. We need faces. We need to be able to connect with the actual you behind the product in order to know, like, and trust you. So that's the full system of preparing and onboarding someone.
I love that. There's so many pieces about this that I love and that I actually talk about a lot as well, which, I always say, people are always comparing themselves to other people, or they see somebody having success. And so they feel like they need to copy what that person's doing to have their own success. And I always say, no, you need to do you. And just because somebody wrote a book or teaches some process or formula about ways that things work, we are still free to create our own way of doing things that is more in alignment with who we are as a person and more authentic for us.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that the people that have the most success are the ones that are not trying to copy anybody, that are just finding, their own voice and their own way.
Yeah.
So I love that you talked about this. And I also, I love that you brought up the part about the face, because I know, these days video is everything, especially with all the new, I've been marketing online for a long time, and we used to
Yeah.
do article marketing where there was no video. And then when video came on the scene, it was I loved it because it was a way where I could leverage myself. I could put out a video that people could watch all over the world at any time of the day that didn't require me sitting in a coffee shop with somebody talking about my business. But I was like a deer in the headlights when I first started doing it, and I was afraid to do it. And I thought, if people can see me and hear that I'm a fast talking girl from New Jersey with an attitude, they're going to not want to work with me. But if I write an article or I put something on my blog, I can hide out behind the text and I can edit it and make it perfect. And I could come across as perfect. And I was afraid to be on camera. And what I found is the more I got on camera, the faster my business grew, because people will be turned off but the right ones will resonate with you and you'll build rapport much faster than you can without video. But still today, so many people are afraid to get on camera. And people will say, well, can I do faceless videos? And yeah, you can, and people do, but like you were saying, and I would love for you to speak to this, if you're building a brand, which is you, and
Mhm.
that's what people want, is to connect with a person that they can relate to, because you're sharing those tiny bubbles about yourself and all of the things, they need a face to go with
Yeah.
that. And so I feel like if people, you don't have to get on camera to succeed as a marketer, which is what my audience are, all marketers, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if you don't, it's just going to take way longer and it's going to take more work. Would you agree with that? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Yes. And, my business, specifically what I do is I serve the people who don't like social media. So this, I am uncomfortable on video is something that I really coach people through because again, I've got that background as an actor.
Yeah.
And here's the news flash. Nobody likes what they look like on camera. Nobody likes what they sound like. Nobody, unless you're a narcissist. Nobody comes to me and is like, man, do I love seeing my face? Like that is just not
Mhm.
happening. So the reason I think that happens is we get really self-focused. And that's why I keep reminding people it's not about you, it's about them.
Mhm.
They honestly could give two poops of like what you came looking like today. They just want to know how you can help them.
Right.
And so we really work hard on centering that client message. And I find that when we really connect with the reason they're actually doing their job, one of my clients is a C-suite coach for high-level executives, and she coaches them around helping them fall back in love with Monday, really getting excited about moving forward in their positions. And she really didn't want to show up online. And when we got into that TGIMs, which is what she does, she now weekly does a TGIM, not just on LinkedIn, but on YouTube. Like this is a woman who came to me being like, I can't come on camera. And now she's like, yes, my YouTube channel is where it's at.
Mhm.
So that message, that reason why is the most important thing. And if you can just center that, even if you have to put it on a sticky right next to that camera, that's going to help you get through these things because nobody cares.
Mhm.
Nobody cares. They
Mhm.
just want to know, how can you help me with my pain point today?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I recently did a TikTok video about, it was called Nobody Cares About Your Hair, because I had this woman who I had reached out to ask her if she would share something. And she was like, she's like, I can't even do this right now because I don't have enough money to get my hair done. And I can't be on camera until I get my hair done. And I was just like, what? I'm like,
Yeah,
nobody cares. Like they just want to know what value you're going to bring to their day today or whatever. And so
exactly.
I
And
did.
also, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and then there's the other piece is like, if you get on TikTok or Reels, there's filters. Like, even if you are having like the worst hair day ever, you can still make yourself look good.
Oh, you all, I love a filter. Like, I just love that's like a lot of the times I'll be like, filter, I feel good about my life. Like,
Yeah,
let's take a
exactly.
decade off my face. Let's get
Mhm.
those cheekbones a little tighter. Like, yes, please, please.
Yeah,
Oh, and like, I just feel for that woman because she's so much more than her hair.
exactly.
We all are, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's a reality. We all feel it. I
Mhm.
washed my hair yesterday because I knew I was coming here today, but
Oh,
I
and
get it.
we need to hear about your hair routine, why your
Oh,
social media routine should be more like your hair routine.
oh, yes, please. Um, so for those of you listening, not watching, I have 2C, 3A curly hair. And
Gorgeous, gorgeous,
oh,
gorgeous
thank
hair.
you. It has been a love-hate relationship all my life. I am now embracing the curls. And the thing that I have learned in this curl journey is that I can't spend too much effort or time making my hair perfect because it's never going to be perfect. But it takes me about an hour and a half to wash and dry my hair. I just have very thick, very curly hair, and it's a lot. And so I don't have time. I don't have an hour and a half every day to make my hair look like this. And so what I do is I put that effort on the days and times when I know that, like, okay, I really want to show up great on camera, or I'm going out with my husband and want to have a good date night. And so I take that hour and a half and I really create what makes me feel the best, which is this curly hair. How does that apply to your social media? You can't have a good hair routine every day on social media, right? You don't have an hour and a half to put together the perfect reel. You don't have an hour and a half to put together the perfect carousel, to write out the perfect post. But I bet you have an hour and a half once a month to create something really spectacular that you're going to share that's really high value with your content and clients. And then you can show up in, like regular ways throughout the rest of the month, working off of that main piece of content. But then the next month, you're going to go wash and repeat. Okay, here is an hour and a half. What can I create that's really high value for people? How can I share that? And then how can I reuse it? And then talk about it all month long. So you don't have to create something new every day. This is actually based on some marketing rules, which you're probably familiar with, Amy. The one is the rule of 7, which is actually more like the rule of 10 or 11 or 12 at this point. But that means that someone has to see your content, be touched by your content at least 7 times before they're able to ingest it and buy it. So that means I get to talk about this, why your hair is like your curly routine, probably for the next 3 years before someone will have seen this specific message 7 times and be like, oh my God, I love your message about your curly hair in social media. They're not really taking it in every time they see it. We can't. There's so much coming at us all the time. So don't worry about reusing your content if it's great content.
I love this. I love this so much because one of the things that I teach and talk about a lot too is like, because we do a lot of email marketing and people are like, well, how do I come up with content for my emails? And it's like, well, not everybody read your email.
Yeah.
Or like if you're sending out an email, like I'll send out an email letting people know I have a new YouTube video. Even if they read the email, they didn't necessarily click through and watch the video. So like, it's okay if I want to promote that video again.
Yes.
It's not like a one and done, but I love
We
this.
we have an internal rule in my company. We never use a piece of content once. If a client delivers content to us, we are reusing it and taking quotes and adjusting it and sharing it everywhere. And to your point about email, earlier this month in my newsletter list, I shared why I broke up with Twitter. And in the bottom, I gave an outline of like, here's 3 questions to ask yourself if it's time to leave a platform. Is this platform right for me? Is it aligned with my values? I'm actually getting clients from it? I had this like little litmus test. The next week, I literally just took the bottom of the email and resent it. And I had someone reach out and be like, this is such a great email. And I said, thanks. I sent it last week too. Aren't paying attention.
No, exactly. And I love what you just brought up about having like one like pillar topic for a month. That is such a game changer. That like really simplifies so much. Like I just feel like if nothing else, like that's like a huge nugget that can be taken away from this conversation, because I feel like if you know that you're going to just hone in on one specific focus for a month about whatever it is that you promote or whatever kind of business that you have, it makes it easy to know to create content because you know that that's the topic.
Yeah.
And then
I like to map it out based on those pillars, those like little rocks that I was talking
about
before. So if we identify like, okay, as a social media manager, one of my big pillars is if it's okay if you hate social media, you can still be good at it. And so that is something that I have to make sure, okay, every 3 months or so, let's see if that content is rolling through. Like, how can I focus that as the center of my content for the month? So take those pillars, literally put out a calendar and be like, I'm going to talk about this in January and March and December. Great. Now you know what your content is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as far as preventing overwhelm, is this one of the things that you use to help people prevent overwhelm, or what other things do you suggest as far as overwhelm in social media?
Yeah, the number one thing. So, I have my full service side of the business, but when I'm working with people who are trying, when I'm consulting and you're just trying to figure out your plan, we like to set your base level. So depending on the platform you're on, we're going to look at what is the lowest amount of content that you, Amy, could get by with and still achieve your goals. And that's different for everybody, because sometimes people are like, I just want to have this as a example of my work product that I can show people when I'm, in meetings, or I want to have enough followers to start pitching my expertise to television. Well, that's a different content level, for those two people. And so we get your basic level. And sometimes a lot of the times it's as little as once a week. Like that's your minimum amount, because what I'm trying to build with my clients is a consistent habit, because social media, you're not going to bang or bust over one post. It's an overtime game. And so you need to have that, like, okay, I'm going to post once a week for a year. And once you've built up that habit, I bet you posting twice a week in 2024 is going to be way easier. So you get to expand that skill set, expand what you're doing, and get really good at it and get a consistent message, because the algorithms are all looking for consistency, because they're trying to figure out when to post in, Amy, we need someone who's going to talk about emails. And if they know once a week you're talking about emails, they're going to flow that into the system. And if you stop talking, they're gonna be like, well, we can't count on Amy to come to the party with some information here. Like a good hostess, they're gonna stop inviting you. So yeah, that's kind of how let's just build your bare minimum. And then that is great. And if you have anything extra, bonus.
So when you're helping people post on social media, what does that mean as far as platforms? Are they taking one piece of content and repurposing it across multiple platforms, or do you suggest a certain number of platforms? How do they know which platforms?
So what I've seen works best is having, and really social media, it's marketing. If you didn't know this already, when you're doing social media, you are doing SEO, y'all. Pat yourselves on the back. You've done it. You've done some search engine optimization, because all that means is that we're creating content that is linked to your name, that makes you more searchable and more relevant in Google. That brings you further and further up. So ideally, if you are a small business owner, you're going to have 2 social media platforms. You're going to have a lead magnet that converts really well. You're going to have a newsletter list that you're touching at least twice a month. And you're going to have a website that has a blog that's happening at least once a month. That's like your minimum total marketing package. When I'm working with people, though, we identify one social platform as what I call your hero platform. This is the platform that you want to look at and say, okay, I'm going to tailor my marketing and everything I'm doing to these rules. And then I'm going to take whatever I create. Let's say like mine is Instagram. My hero platform is Instagram. I'm going to take what I create for Instagram and I'm going to adjust it for LinkedIn. I'm going to adjust it for Facebook. I'm going to adjust it for YouTube. You're going to focus mostly on that one platform. And that's where you're also going to spend the time doing your engagement, so that you can actually make traction and get people to follow back. Right? Like that is the key, is not just posting. We call it posting and ghosting, when you just like post and run away. But when you post and then actually the next day, even, like come back and like, did anybody like it? Let's say thank you. Let's respond to comments. Did nobody like it? Okay, good. When I post a photo with no picture of me and just some words, nobody likes it, maybe I don't do that again. Like everything is about learning. There is no bad content.
I love that. And how do you help people with their confidence? Like, do you help people with going live on these platforms? Is that something?
Absolutely. Like going live, everybody's so scared about it, but I love going live. And the reason I love it is that pretty much every platform still considers going live kind of proprietary content, even though, there are tools like StreamYard where I can go live on YouTube and Facebook and all of the places all at once. Each of the platforms, though, they do this thing where they're like, ooh, someone's live here. That means we can find this only here, which means they let all of your followers know, hey, so-and-so is going live. Now, right now on Instagram, they're actually testing the ability to turn on these notifications for like, if you've done a new story, or if you've done a new main feed post, that your whole audience would get alerted. But at this moment, there's no other piece of content you can do that everybody who's following you gets a notification. So-and-so just shared something. You should go over and check it out. And you get that boost in the algorithm, that push, not just for that moment that everybody's been notified. You actually get a little bump for a full 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you go live and no one shows up, like I'll have 3, 5 people on my Instagram following. I also really preach tiny but mighty, y'all. I don't know about you, but I couldn't handle 10,000 clients tomorrow. So like I'm really focused on connecting with people that are actually going to move my business forward. So I don't need a lot of followers.
Yep.
But it's not the people who are there in the moment. It's those comments I get, that next 24 hours, or it's the people reaching out to me within that window who are all also watching, so don't do it once and freak out and be like, nobody was there. You're creating great content. And if you're working with a social media like me, you going live means I can take your 10-minute, 8-minute little live, turn it into a blog for you, turn it into social media content for a week, turn it into all of these different things. And all you had to do was get up and talk for 15 minutes.
Right.
So it's a really powerful tool.
So what about all the people that are growing so quickly by going live on TikTok and then the content disappears? Like when you're done going live, it's gone. Like there are no
Bye.
comments for 24 hours or anything like
Yeah,
that.
there's none of that. I mean, that is a really specific set. And I honestly don't have a good answer for you. TikTok is such a beast. In my line of work, because I'm dealing with people who are content averse, who are jumping in because they're like, I don't like this and I don't want to be here. We actually only have one client who's a TikTok client, and they are a very separate use case. They are a property management company in Los Angeles, and they really market to young, hip individuals, which is why TikTok works perfect for them.
Mhm.
So for like a live video that then isn't, the thing about TikTok is their algorithm is really, really powerful. And so when they're prioritizing that live content, they're not just taking that, like that live content is gone, but now they're saying, okay, well, you went live, you gave us this proprietary content, this moment in the sun. And so now if anybody who watched that, we're going to start feeding your content into that algorithm to see, oh, do they still want to watch you? So that's kind of how that's working. To the best of my knowledge, as of this moment in March 2023.
That's awesome. I love your tiny but mighty thing that you were talking about, because I always say, just because someone has millions of followers doesn't mean that they're making money
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
what they're posting. Like you can
And
make, like I have like a full-time income and I don't have a lot of followers on any platform.
oh yeah. Yeah, like y'all check out my Instagram at lauren.lit. It is terrible. It is the worst. And I have a team of 9 people. Like this idea that you need tens of thousands of followers is false, because also the more followers you get, the lower your engagement percentage drops.
Mm.
So like on my account, I've got somewhere between like a 13 to 15% engagement rate, which is huge. That's huge. When you look at a lot of these larger accounts, we're talking about a 1% or a less than 1% engagement. And it's interesting because, again, my background's in acting. There was that moment where they thought that they were going to take influencers and put them in movies. Cute idea. They found that those people following them on TikTok or Instagram or whatever do not translate to an audience in film. And the percentage that was actually following them was so small, it wasn't worth the harm it did to the project, because they're not hiring like a professional actor. So if we look at my account, I have somewhere around 620 followers on my Instagram account right now. That's the number of clients I need this year. We talk 10% of that, right? I don't need 18 more clients. I need 4. I need 4 more clients this year. So get really clear too about what do you actually need for your business. This idea that we're trailing followers or likes or anything like that. None of those things pay you money, unless you're being an influencer. Okay. And I'm not an influencer. You're not an influencer, but if you want to actually run a business, you need to think, what actions do I need people to take on this social media? And then do all of your content around that.
So what do you mean by you don't have to? I saw one of the things was you don't have to post like an influencer to be
Yes.
successful.
You absolutely do not. So when we hear advice like Instagram reels are all the only thing that's working, you need to post 5 reels a day in order to grow your account.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
laughable, right? That is advice given from an influencer. An influencer is someone who solely makes their income through marketing, through their social media platform. Their job is to grow at a ridiculous rate. Your job is to sell. I'm going to bring up Bob, my client, Bob. I love Bob. Bob has a olive oil and vinegar store, and his clientele are like women in their 60s. We call her the lady about town. And so for Bob, it doesn't make sense for Bob to show up doing reels all the time because his audience is like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, Bob, we share recipes. We talk about Wine Wednesday, and then we say, here's the new olive oil for the month. And the clients love it. So really focus on, again, your baseline. What is my baseline? What is my capability? As a business owner, if you have an hour or 10 hours to spend on your marketing for your business, and then create that baseline and then do the minimum. Don't kill yourself, because what's going to happen is you're going to put yourself into a workflow that isn't sustainable. And about 30 to 45 days later, you have fallen off the platform that you've been trying to grow. And now you got to start from the beginning again in 3 months when you have the energy to pick it back up.
Mm.
And that's bad. So
I
yeah.
love this. I love this so much. We actually had a conversation about this today on a mastermind I was on, and they were talking about like going live every day. And I was like, I will be in the insane asylum if I have to keep, like, I run a 30-day content challenge every January, February. And like by the end of it, I am so like done.
Exhausted. Yeah.
I'm
You're
like,
exhausted.
there's no way I could do that
Yeah.
all year round, I
And those
mostly do
things-
it to support other people to get them in the habit or whatever, but like it's
Exactly.
not sustainable. I mean, I know some people that are cranking out content, but like I think it's better to have, like you're talking about, like tailored content, more quality content, less often. At least that's what feels in alignment for me.
Yeah.
Than just making content for the sake of making content.
Yeah. Because like, we're all too busy. Like, what are you doing? If you have time to just sit around making content, like, I'm so happy for you. But most of us aren't able to be on that frequently. And challenges have their space. They're a great way, as you said, to build that muscle and that habit and to push yourself past being uncomfortable. A lot of times sharing a photo of yourself every day for 30 days, all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's not that scary. Nobody came out and boogeymaned me, like I can do this. So a lot of that is just pushing past a barrier in order to fall back to a regular level, but it's not sustainable unless you're an influencer or a social media manager and you literally spend 40 plus hours every week doing it. So
well, what are your thoughts about batching content? I know one thing that you mentioned was how like you do your hair when you're going to be on camera. I know some people, like, they get a blowout once a week and then they do all of their content the next day. And that's how, like, they do all their content for the week, the day after their blowout, and they just change outfits and do it all in one day. And then, like, is that something that you recommend, or do you recommend that, posting when you're inspired, or
it
what?
depends on the person, right? Now, if we wait for inspiration to strike, inspiration will not strike, right? You don't stand in the middle of the field and be like, lightning strike me, and then it happens, because it doesn't. So you do need to build a little bit of a container for yourself. And any creative will tell you this as well, right? Like, you don't write the book because you were inspired to, you write the book because you showed up every day for 2 hours. So we have to marry those two pieces. But I think that batching content is a great way to utilize your time as busy entrepreneurs. If you can set aside half a day, a couple of times a month, to just really focus on creating good content, you'll probably be able to create better content and more content than if you were to just try and do it in fits and starts throughout your week. So I think it's great, but I also have people who were like, I can't do it. Like, I literally just can't make that happen for my life. And so we work with the schedule that when their inspiration strikes, we really take advantage of it. And we really like spread that out over a long period of time. So yeah, it depends on who you are.
I would love for you to share a little bit more about you know, how you work with clients or like the services that you offer.
Yeah.
What does it
Yeah,
look
we've
like to
we've
work
got
with
like
you?
two different sides. There's the full service side of Little Shameless Plug where we take care of everything for you. It's a very VIP experience. We show up a couple times a month and we talk about your numbers and we talk about the content you want to create. And then we go away and my brilliant creative team makes lots of content that you get to approve and it just goes out for you. And it's very seamless. And it really helps make sure that we're hitting your marketing flow and all of that stuff.
So they
And
write the actual content too?
yeah,
Or, and
and
what
it can
about video? What about video?
we'll send we will send either prompts, to be like, okay, your topic this month. So I work with a financial coach, and obviously April is tax month. That's coming up, y'all. And so we knew that we wanted to talk about taxes. So we, in our content meeting, we talked through like, okay, what are some of your opinions? How do you want to approach this? And she came up with a really brilliant idea that is how she, as a financial coach, views taxes and returns. And it's one of those fun, like, ooh, it's a controversial opinion. And so we go away then and we create that content. Sometimes, we'll have a client go live around a piece of content so that they're talking about their expertise, and then we can write a blog from that because we'll have their point of view.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the full service side. And then for the consulting side, I sit down with you and we really look at those big rocks. What are your pillar messages? And we look at like a 3-month plan of like, what is your content flow going to be for these 3 months? We create prompts, and then you're able to have like a blueprint that you can apply to your business. And so that is really great for people who are just starting out, who know that marketing is going to take them to that next level. Marketing can up your business. And I'm sure, Amy, this, like 7%, 10%, 20% over a year by just doing this one act. And social media is free. It's a free tool available to you. So, yeah, that's the consulting side where I sit down and I help you create that plan.
So
it's also my
is it
favorite
based
thing.
on a 3-month period of time, or is it just how does that?
Yeah. For that piece, I find people come to me at one of 3 levels. You either have never been on social media before and you're like, I don't even know how this works, in which case rolling out a 3-month marketing plan for you would be way overkill. You couldn't do it. We need to focus on the basics and making sure you're really up to speed. Then there are the people who've been doing social media and they just don't have a real clear idea of what they're supposed to be saying. And so for those people, we really look at that 3-month marketing goal. And then are there like the content superstars who are like on every day and doing all of the stuff. And for them, it's normally less about the specific messaging because they've already got that habit ingrained. It's more about the fact that we need to tweak how they're showing up, because maybe they're only doing reels. I had a client, she's so great. She's a blog SEO expert. She's brilliant. And she was only doing reels. And the thing about that is reels are great for discovery, but it's not bringing anyone down to know, like, and trust you in order to buy. And so we just had to adjust how she was doing things and really get that into her marketing plan in a clear way. So yeah, we do it all in a day. And then you're able to have that 3-month plan, 3-month support to know that you can move forward and really get social happy. So
That's awesome. And you also have a course that you
yes,
sell?
which is called Social Happy. Yeah, Social Happy takes you through the basics of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so that you really have that understanding. Like I said, I like for my clients, for people to be at least 2 places online. And so to have the understanding of what these platforms are and how you can actually use them, what those rules of the game are, that's what the course is. And it needs to be updated because I haven't done it since last year. But that's the course.
I love it. So let me ask you, like, I'm going to throw out a specific example and see what you
Please.
would just maybe give an example of what you might suggest. So I have a really good friend who's a stand-up comedian, and she also teaches improv, and she's like amazing at what she does, but she doesn't charge enough. She gets hired to speak at festivals and events and stuff. And improv is something that is a valuable skill for pretty much everybody in any
Yeah.
like corporate situation or anything. It teaches you how to be quick on your feet, bring what you have,
Mhm.
be in the moment. And so it's really, people love what she teaches. And I was looking at like what she charges and I was like, you need to charge way more. But she's just like, well, I need to figure out how to market myself in a
Yeah.
way where, you know, people, I believe a lot of it is just getting right in front of the people that have the budget to pay her more rather than,
Yeah. So we're talking
go.
like more corporate gigs for her?
Yeah, and she wants to do corporate, she wants to do global, and I
Great.
was like, there are speakers that get paid, part of their package is, I want to be flown first class, I want to stay at a 5-star hotel. Like that's not coming out of your pocket after, what they've already paid you, and you can get paid really good money also
Yeah.
and get to like travel the world and do this stuff. And so she's like in the beginning phases of trying to figure out, how to ramp it up. So I'm just curious if you would have any
I
specific
have so
advice
many
for some.
thoughts. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. So specifically for this person, the thing that pops into my head first was Twitter, because even though I have left Twitter for personal reasons, it's still a big comedy space. If you do comedy, if you are in the news, if you are a guy in their early 30s, Twitter is for you, man. But then the other thing, when you start talking about the corporate stuff, LinkedIn, because that's where the HR departments are looking for talent to book for their stuff. And so I would love to see for her a Twitter LinkedIn duo that she's got. And really on LinkedIn specifically, focus on how the benefit of the corporate training that she can do, like bringing teams together or allowing people to feel more confident in speaking, like outline a couple of those pillars of why improv is great for corporate, create content around that. And then LinkedIn is one of the, I call it secret converters. LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube have higher conversion rates than a lot of the other social media platforms. And so for LinkedIn, focus on 10 or 20 people a month, following them, commenting on stuff, seeing if they're a good fit for her as a corporate brand, finding those people who could hire her. And then after like creating some kind of relationship, then saying, hey, I do XYZ. I'd love to tell you more about it. Would you like to book a call? Or I'd love to tell you more about it. Like, are you booking your 2024 speakers? I'd love to submit. Having the relationship plus the specific thing that's going to be of value to that person you're talking to is really the way you make LinkedIn work. So, and that is, people can get a little uncomfortable because they're like, oh, it's in the DMs. And I hate when people submit, reach out to me in the DMs. You don't hate when someone who's offering you exactly what you need. You hate when someone says, hi, business person, I noticed your business of XYZ. It's great. Would you like help? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my approach for her. Because also Instagram's great because she can show her comedy chops and everything, but her buyers aren't going to really be on there,
Mm-hmm.
low hanging fruit. We want low
Yeah.
hanging fruit.
Yeah. I know she's on LinkedIn and I don't really do LinkedIn. So she asked me questions about LinkedIn and I'm like, I don't know. But
It's so like, it's so surprising because from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, LinkedIn is for business people. And I don't need that because I'm an entrepreneur. I do my own thing. But like, like it's just really surprising how that actually translates to clients, because when people are on there, they're actually looking for things of value. And if you have value, that's a great place to be.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, I know we're getting to the end here. I want to make sure you have time to tell people. You said you had a couple
Oh, I
freebies you
do.
wanted to tell people about that you can help them with
Yes.
a quiz and
I'm really excited about this quiz. So normally when people come to me, they're like, I don't know what to do. Like I need my next step. And so I've created a quiz that helps you identify that next step on your chosen platform. So I'm really excited about this because it just allows you to take that one more step and see results. You know, I don't do this. I don't have a company. I don't make money because it's fun. I make money because this actually helps grow businesses. And I want that for you. I want that for everyone. So yeah, the quiz is coming out in April. And I'm so excited that your audience is going to be one of the first people to take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm going to take the quiz for
Ooh,
sure.
take the quiz. Tell me who you are.
Do you want to give people a link to that now, or do you want to just put it in the show notes?
I'm going to leave you all in suspense, but I will tell you, like I said, my hero platform is Instagram. You can find me at lauren.litt, Lauren Litt. And the link will absolutely be there in my bio. So.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll of course have all of your links in the show notes for all of the places. But was there something else? Like, was there another lead magnet that
Well, there
you?
is. Yeah, there's because I believe that social media is 50-50. 50% is the content you're putting out and 50% is the engagement that you're actually participating in. And so I have a video series that focuses on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, how to build real engagement in as little as 5 minutes a day.
Hmm.
And like, I am someone who is bad at posting. Again, take a look at my social media. It's like the doctor's kid is always sick. The social media manager has terrible social media.
Well, you're
But like
helping other people with theirs. You don't have time for yours. The
exactly.
cobbler's kids' shoes.
Exactly. Like I'm tired at the end of the day, but I don't ever miss engagement. I don't ever miss connecting with the people who follow me, who engage with me. And that's why I have that really crazy 12 to 15% engagement rate on my content. That's why, just yesterday I reached out and said, hey, if anybody would like this thing, I've got a space. And I had someone say, yes, please, can we talk?
Mhm.
Like I didn't have 50 people, but I don't need 50 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I really, that's the Daily Fit. It's your daily Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that you can grab right now on my Instagram. And yeah,
I love it. The Daily Fit.
because it's a habit, just like working out,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. I love that. So what, before we wrap up, is there anything that I didn't ask you? Anything else you want to say about yourself, what you help people with, social media, a tip, something, a takeaway, anything?
Here's what I would love to leave your audience with, because I really love your message about living in alignment, because like so much of the things we hear as entrepreneurs is feeling makes you feel pulled away.
Mhm.
And I think I started at the beginning of this, but like the whole reason I do this is because this is a free, very powerful tool. And we need good messages and good voices in the world. That spark, the reason why you created your business, we all need that. That's going to improve the world in some way. And so please don't just say social media is hard and walk away. Like really take it upon yourself to use this tool, because we need your voice.
Mhm. I love that. And I agree. And everyone has a unique voice and nobody is like anyone else. And so if you're trying to be a copycat, you're not really helping yourself or
Yeah.
anybody else. So
Yeah. Be
I
brave,
think,
be you.
yeah. And we're so fortunate to have all of these free social media platforms. Like, we used to have to put ads in the paper and stuff, like to get our message.
That's my last question for you. What is an archaic marketing piece of the past that you are so glad is done?
Well, article marketing for one. So one of the things that we used to do was we would write an article. There were all these article directories. So just in case anybody is listening to this and doesn't know me, I've been marketing online since 2004. And so it was before social media. And so we would write these articles, and there are these article directories online that you could submit your article to, but you couldn't have duplicate content or it wouldn't show up in the search engine. So you had to use this tool called an article spinner. So you would like pay for a subscription for this tool where you would put your article in and it would spin it and use like the same content, but word it differently so that you could put it in these different places. And the people that were really ninja at this strategy would be posting on like a ton of article directories and just spinning the articles. I mean, it was so monotonous. There was nothing fun about it. Like
Yeah.
when I tell people now, I'm like, you get to get on like TikTok and like do these silly videos that are under a minute and then like right from your phone, you can add text and music. Like that's fun. what we were doing that back then, there was nothing fun about it. It was just what had to be done, right?
Yeah.
To be seen. And so I would say that's definitely an archaic one. Another one that I used to do was I would plaster windshields of cars at concerts at Red Rocks when I lived in Colorado. Like if I knew
Yes.
that there was a concert going on of like, you know, like people that were like my vibe, I would go to Red Rocks during the concert and put a flyer on every windshield about my business. Like that's what we would do. And I was also calling phone numbers as I was driving down the road. If I would see like a landscaping truck with like a phone number on the side of
Yeah.
it, I would call them and I would like pitch them from the car, like calling their number. Like, yeah, it was a
It
lot
was
different than what we do
Yeah.
now.
That's like, I talk about push versus pull marketing, you know, like that was very push. You had to really get out there. And right now we get to just lean back in our chairs at home in
I
our
know.
sweatpants. Like,
I know. I did a lot of cold calling too. Like I was in a health and wellness company for a while as a network
Yeah.
marketer. And so I started like calling like chiropractic offices and massage therapists. And at first I was like fumbling and everybody was hanging up on me. But
Yeah.
after I did it about 100 times, I got kind of my, my shtick
Yeah.
down. And then I started getting a lot of success with it. But I was making like 100 calls a day.
That's a lot.
And, half the people would hang up on me. Other people were gatekeepers and I couldn't talk to the person I needed to. But eventually I started to get some traction with it. But I mean, it wasn't like, it was push for
Yeah.
sure. It was not attraction. Like I love attraction marketing, which is basically what a lot of us do now, which is just,
Yeah.
we put our value out in the world and the right people are attracted to it and they come to us.
And then we all dance away.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're like, oh, you're the girl from the internet. You're like famous. I can't wait to like give you my money, and it's
exactly.
just hilarious. So,
Yep.
but it's just so much more fun and so much easier. And so that's what I always say to people if they're complaining that this is hard. I'm like, you don't even know how hard this
You don't
is.
have to make 100 cold calls today. So just say thank you.
Don't have to go plaster windshields with,
Oh my gosh.
with flyers and all. I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the crazy stuff because I did whatever it took.
Yeah.
But now it's easy. Now we can do it all from our phone if we want. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah.
Like while you're standing in line at the grocery store or something, like you could like create a piece of content on your phone. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is both the great blessing and the curse, because then you have that thing that you're like, I could do this right now all the time.
Yeah. And you start to see everything in your life as a piece of content, which is also a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes, totally. Oh my gosh. Amy, I just knew we were going to have so much fun talking. So thank you so much.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation. And I can tell you really know your stuff. So if anybody wants some help with your social media, go talk to Lauren. She's your girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will put all of your contact information in all the places in the show notes, unless there's anything else you want to tell people about where they can find you, if you want to verbally say any of that on here.
No, I think we're good. Little Shameless Plug is the company and littleshamelessplug.com. And I'm mostly on Instagram. So see you on there, y'all.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, Lauren. It's been a pleasure having you here and your bubbly personality and your beautiful curly hair.
Appreciate it. I did wash it.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's going to love this episode. So I'm excited to share it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to get them excited about not being excited about social media, I guess.
Yeah, I had a bunch of aha moments myself too about how I can simplify things. So thank you.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you. Taking it to the next level with Lauren Litt.
Yes.
All right. Well, everybody have a great day and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.